Well, hello again, friends. Welcome back to the Firepit. Richard here, and I'm thankful for you to join me for another Firepit conversation this week. I pray everyone's doing well as we come through almost the middle of April already. The month's going by fast. We just finished going through Resurrection Sunday this past weekend, which was a wonderful time, and I got to say, it was great to be able to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus with our family of believers, with our church family, and being able to be there with all of them throughout the weekend. Unlike last year where we were all joining online, watching on a TV screen, and it was nice. It felt good. It felt right to be able just to worship Jesus together and be able to be in each other's presence. And so this week I pray everyone's doing well. As we roll through, I'm looking around and watching for rain fixing to come in around us, and which is a good thing, because man, we need to wash some of this pollen out. I cut my yard for the first time of the year yesterday, and I was miserable last night. And it'll be nice to have that come in. Downside, my sons and I are supposed to go camping this weekend, but we'll make the most of it. Make it a little wet, but that's okay. We'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to getting away with them for a couple days. And there's been a number of things that have been on my heart this week, y'all. As I ponder and kind of think about where God is leading, and I've got some really cool things on the horizon. I know last week I kind of shared a little bit about our needs for being able to get Anvil going for this fall, and I'm very pumped to say that we've got our location and our dates secured for later this year, and so be on the lookout. We'll be opening up registration real soon, and the website will be up, and we'll be able to announce and be able to open that up and be able to invite our world to join us at Strong Rock Camp again this fall. Very pumped about that. So anyway, this week, I'm sitting here just kind of pondering with that as we got started getting those plans in order, and really beginning to plan out Anvil and getting that on the horizon. Some of the conversations I've had this week have really kind of been centered around around the heart of that mission, of this ministry of really going after the hearts of men, helping men really rediscover who they are, and guide them into coming alive as the men that God called each one of them to be, and each one of us to be, and how critical that is. Because I tell you, I see so much collateral damage around us, where men haven't stepped into that, and haven't stepped up to the plate, haven't taken that gauntlet, because they simply don't know how. My wife Amber asked me yesterday, why is it that so many men are passive? And I think she knew the answer, but we were just kind of having a conversation about that. And so many men just kind of step back and don't want to engage in that in that important part, and thereby kind of leaving it up to their wives in a way to fill that gap. And it's a very frustrating thing to see, because she's encountered several women in just our short amount of time of walking in this message and walking with God, of wives that have been desperate and hungry for their husbands to step up as the spiritual leaders that they're meant to be for their homes, as husbands, as fathers, and yet so many times that's not the case. So and that's not anything. The only thing that I can do, and that we do, and we strive to do, is begin to kind of try to show men that doorway, in hopes that they step into that, and take that position that they're meant to. So it's so important for us. It's so important for us men to really step into that. And you see kind of the negative results of it all of men not stepping into that position. And it's all around us. I mean, look at society and the way it's going, and with divorce rates sky high, single mom homes, households at super high rates. Just the number of fatherless kids out there, and so much. And it saddens me that it's a lot of it stems because of men that have just not taken their proper place to guide and nurture and lead their kids and their families. And they just abandon the responsibility outright. And so it's a sad thing to see happen. And so it really drives me that much harder in this mission of helping men really try to and helping men really come up and step up and learn the trueness of who they are, so that they can walk in that, and they're walking in that truth and that identity as sons, as beloved sons, and learning their place in the kingdom. They can thereby bring that to their families, to their sons, to their daughters, to their wives. It's really needed. And I've said this before, I've said this many times, that a lot of the problems we see around us, a lot of it stems from men not doing so, right? And if we're men, if we're 90% of the problem, we are definitely 90% of the solution. We have a place we got to do something about that. We have to be willing to step into that and do something. And this quote from A.W. Tozer always really speaks to my heart in this, and where he says that the most critical need of the church at this moment is men, bold men, free men. The church must seek in prayer and much humility the coming again of men made of the stuff of which prophets and martyrs are made. That's where we're at, and that's how much of a need we have right now, because men haven't been doing so. Either they don't know, or they just haven't been willing to step into that. Like I mentioned, Amber asking me about men being passive. Obviously, that goes back all the way to Adam's first sin of passivity, of not stepping up, of not intervening when he was meant to. When the serpent was trying to deceive them and deceive Eve, and really bring that lie that we've all come to believe in different parts of our lives, that God is holding out of us on us in some way, that we have to somehow make life work on our own, because we can't trust in the trueness of God. And so that passiveness has just carried all through the history of mankind. And you see it in Scripture. You see it all in Scripture, of so many different cases of where men just kind of stood idly by and didn't do what they were meant to do and supposed to do. And it's the epidemic of this. This is a true epidemic, or pandemic, if you will, whatever the term is you want to use for it, of the need for men to step up, the need for men to come alive again. And I promise you, it's so amazing to see. And because I share this story so much, and maybe at some point I'll bring Amber on here on the conversation, just to kind of share her heart in this and what she's seen. And this isn't me bragging, but really boasting in the trueness of what Jesus has done in my life, because I was willing to let go and begin to trust in him, and how it's impacted her, and how it impacted all three of our kids, who are now young adults now, and they're finding their way in life, but it's built such a huge solid foundation for them. And maybe I'll bring them on one day so you can hear their hearts in that, but because it's wild, and it's so humbling to hear when they kind of share their stories. It leans back. A lot of it stems from me being willing to step in, and me being willing to lead the home as a man the way I was meant to, and that I didn't know how to do really for the first 17 years of our marriage, I didn't really have an idea of what that was about, and I'm still figuring things out. And that's the beauty of it all, is that we're still learning. We're still gauging, and God's still kind of training me up, and as new places in my heart are discovered that I've yet to yield to Him, and all that. And it's such a cool adventure, but it's a risk that's worth taking. Yeah, I just want to encourage and challenge every man that sees this, and of really, examine your life. Really begin to take this to God. Ask Him, what is my impact on the people around me? What is my impact on my wife, on my kids? What would they say my impact is? Ask God those questions, and maybe be willing to sit down and ask your wife and ask your kids these questions as well. What has my impact been on you? And be willing to receive the answer they give you, because that'll give you some really good data as to where maybe you've missed the mark. Because believe me, we've all missed the mark in some way. None of us have been immune to this. And I don't kind of care. I don't care where you are. And there's certain things that I still don't do all the way right, and I fumble my way through it as it comes along. But God's helping to guide me through all that and train me up in that. So I really want you men that see this message to really think about that for your life, because we're in a really challenging time right now. And I'm not even going to get into the politics and all that crap that we're contending with right now, because that just adds fuel to the fire. As it is, it's purely about the desperation of this world to see men really come alive. And there's so many wives out there that are desperate for their husbands to lead the way, but don't know how to get them to do so. So that's going to be my challenge to you. And as this year progresses, we're still several months out until the next Anvil weekend, and it's going to be taking place here in North Georgia, about an hour and a half north of where I live right now. A beautiful camp. I'm so excited that we're going to be able to return there again, as it's really truly consecrated ground that's really been gives us a really good space, and gives men a good space to really step into an encounter with God in some new and revelatory ways for their own lives. And so I would challenge you to really consider joining us in the fall for the Anvil men's boot camp. Like I said, it'll be a few more weeks, but we'll have registration begin to open up, so that you can begin to get that time on your calendar way ahead in advance. And I pray that you will consider joining us, because and if you've been, those of you men that have been a part of it, and you know what maybe it's meant for your story, if there's been an impact on your life. And I can't speak for everyone, but I know some of the stories that I've heard of the impact that has been made on their lives, not from anything I've done or my team has done, but from that space of allowing them to really step in and encounter God, and allow God to really speak into their stories. And it's really an amazing thing to be a part of. It's amazing how God's done that in my life, and I get to now be a part of helping men usher men into that as well. And it's really such a blessing and a humbling thing to be a part of. Nothing that was ever on my radar several years ago, and that I'd ever think that I'd be doing. But when you find the thing that you have to do, you can't help but do, that's a true calling on your life. And this is what that is right now for me. And we're now going into our 5th year of it, which is amazing to think about. So it's really important. Those of you that don't have this category of what it means to truly be a man and becoming the type of man that God can really entrust with His kingdom, and really stepping into what it means to be the man that God meant when He meant you, this would be an opportunity for you to kind of begin to discover that. It's a starting point. It doesn't end there. It doesn't end when you walk out of that weekend at the end of it. But it's a place where you can really start a journey. I believe that, because I certainly did, and I know other men that have too. But I can only speak for what's happened in my story, and the impact that it's had. And gosh, and I'm so thankful I took that for my first trip into one of these weekends 6+ years ago now. Amazing. And what God's done in that short amount of time. So I want to encourage you, men, you're needed. You're desperately needed. You need to really step into this. If you're unsure about it, I'd be willing to even converse with you about it. Let's have a conversation. Feel free to email me, richard@deeprootsministries.org. And we can set up time to talk. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to engage with you about it. If you just don't know what this looks like, if you know me locally, contact me, and let's make time to meet. I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you, and have that conversation, because I know it's something that's sorely needed, and if I can help guide in any way, shape, or form, that's what I want to do. Guys, this is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, and there's nothing new in this. This is an ancient path. In Jeremiah 6:16, he wrote that to stand at the crossroads and look to the ancient roads, look to the tried and true way, and walk in it, and you will find rest for your souls. So there's something beautiful about stepping into these ancient pathways. And ancient pathways of masculinity, of becoming the men that you were meant to be. That's a part of that. And maybe you haven't explored that for your own life. But there is a pathway that you can begin to walk. It's been walked before. So it's not inventing anything really new, but it's really stepping into this pathway that God's laid out for you, and you uniquely. So anyway, so that's where I am this week. That's really what I want to process. So the rain's fixing to start. It's really starting to sprinkle on me, and I've got a chicken walking up here for some reason. I'm just watching this chicken walking up in my yard that's been hanging around a good bit for some reason. Hang around too much, it might end up on a dinner plate real soon. We'll see. I look forward to another Firepit conversation with you. Just thank you for joining me this week, and I'll see y'all next week. Take care, friends, and God bless.